Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, C. Wall, checking in as I do each and every single week during the NFL season to give you the latest and greatest information on what's happening with the Washington Commanders. This is a live television recording where we talk all things Commanders. We have to get into the housekeeping items of this is a live Bowie television recording, to be specific, where everything we say and do here will more than likely end up on Bowie TV, Verizon Channel 11, Comcast, Xfinity Channel 77 each and every single day, 1:30 to 2:30, and on the weekends during the noon hour. So we discuss all things Commanders right here. Shout out to Bowie Television. We're going to jump right on in the conversation. Before we do that, you all know another part of the housekeeping items is you must say hello to Mama Waller and to Pops Waller first. If you're checking in on the Facebook Live, hit that love button, hit that like button, share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're all tuned in on YouTube, hello to you all as well. And make sure you drop a like, share with your other Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Tell them to subscribe, drop a fire emoji so that we can say hello to you all as well. We see Cameron Mingo has already jumped in. We see Joe Hall has already jumped in. You all want to make sure you tap in, share, tag in your Washington Commanders, loving family and friends, because there's a lot to discuss. Absolutely a lot to discuss. Commanders go down yet again to the Philadelphia Eagles, this time at home on their home turf at FedEx Field. We're going to do maybe things a little bit different. We're still going to get into what's your one word, but I want to go into some things that I thought went well, then what didn't go so well, and want to get to toward the end so a bit from Coach Ron Rivera's press conference today. So not his after game press conference in terms of Coach Rivera, but his today, day after the game press conference, because for sure there's a lot to discuss in terms of what was said there. So if you all see me looking down, it's because, hey, it's nearing the trade deadline, and who knows what may happen? Who knows what's coming soon? Who knows what's going down? So you all may see me look just to say, is the coast still clear or not? So let's get right on into the show. Why don't we? You all know the drill. First up, after a Commanders game, we always play this game, whether it's win, lose, or draw, which is what's your one word? And it is what is your one word to describe how you felt after the Commanders lose again to the Philadelphia Eagles? After they had a pretty good lead there for a bit. What is your one word? Can't wait to see what some of your one words are. And while you're dropping your one word, let me just say, it's definitely what Joe Harris has here, which is disappointed for sure. For sure. I think that was one of the things that Coach Rivera said in the after game press conference. He used the word disappointed as well. Joe Hall says discombobulated. Mama Waller jumps in and she says she's disappointed as well. I mean, I think it goes with. I mean, that's probably the one word for it all. I mean, right about now, this is pretty much mid-season. You all have heard me say several times what you see during week 5 to 7 is kind of what you're going to get. It's it. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is. What you're seeing in week 5 to 7. I think one of the things that's so hard to watch is, you look across the league, and again, it's mid-season, so teams are already inundated with injuries to key players, just some unfortunate events, and that's not necessarily the Commanders' storyline. Yes, they have injuries; they absolutely have injuries, but it's not as detrimental or as lengthy of an injury list as some other teams have already experienced so far this season. So it's like, okay, you can't we can't go into okay where they're missing key players in several different position groups, or they're doing all that's not the case. So there's a clear issue, which we talked about just last week after the Commanders lost to the Giants at MetLife Stadium. We discussed that. So there's some real issues happening here that need to be addressed. So, yet another loss. So, before we get into that, how about this? How about, can you believe it? I want to talk about some things that went well. So you see me looking down again, because I got to keep track to say, okay, what's going on, because it's live. Who knows what may happen in terms of any trade deadline news. So here's some things that went well, and I want you to drop in the chat as well some things that went well. Here's what I want to start out with in terms of some things that went well before the game. Washington legend Hall of Famer Darrell Green met with the media. Darrell Green had a lot to say, and I thought they were all very important points. So I wanted to summarize those for you all, because I think it's really important to share some of this information with the fans on what was said. He's impressed with the new ownership group. Good to hear that, right? He said he actually got a call from them the night before the opening press conference, and he thought that was really nice. So he just talked very and spoke very highly of the new ownership group, talked about his friendship with Magic Johnson and other things. So that's definitely something you want to hear. In terms of comments on RFK, he gave the number or the ages around 45. So if you're around 45 and above, there's nobody who does not want the stadium to go back to RFK. He's like, listen, if 45 is probably around that age, if you want to go back to RFK, that's probably the group on up. He's like, younger than that, you probably don't really care that much. But there is definitely a demographic that absolutely cares about the new stadium being back at RFK. He talked a lot about his friendship with Tony Dorsett. And he always talks about, running him down, the first play of his rookie season, and it being on Tony Dorsett. They're actually great friends. Their wives are great friends. He said, of course, back then, you wasn't getting no autographs. Nobody was ever getting any autographs back then. But now, yes, you do autographs. He says some autographs he didn't get, or it didn't even do until, the Hall of Fame ceremonies. But it was nice for him to, just talk about that and be very open about his friendship with Tony Dorsett. Everybody knows the historic rivalry between the Cowboys and Washington, but hey, listen, at the end of the day, these people are friends. Whether it's while they're still playing or it's years after, they know each other in real life and they're friends. He mentioned Emmanuel Forbes, and I'm sure that's what you all probably saw a lot of that conversation along on social media in terms of, what he thinks of Emmanuel Forbes. And he just said he thinks that he's not getting the help that he needs, and he could probably help him in 10 minutes. So I know I've been asked in the last 24 hours a lot about that comment. And here's what I will say about that specific comment. And this is a recurring theme from alumni that they want to help. We've heard Brian Mitchell say it. We've heard Fred Smoot say it. We've heard Logan Paulson say it. We've heard Santana Moss say it. We've heard, when I shared some things from the Legends game, the homecoming weekend. We heard Charles Mann say it. This has been a recurring theme of let us help. You all may remember when Ron Rivera had the posse come in and talk to the team, talk with the receivers. And so that's one thing, right? The notion of having, alumni come in. But I think there is a strong desire from alumni to not just come in, but to be regularly and consistently involved. So I thought it was important to share that with you all because we're seeing issues. We're seeing things that are not resonating. And hopefully the ownership hears them out. Hopefully the owners say, hey, you want to help? Hey, you think you can help this kid? Hey, you think I want you here. I want you here to help. How often can you help? What can you do? If they want to, and that's where they want to spend their time, why not? Why not? It always makes me smile because the alumni take so much pride in the burgundy and gold. So just as fans want to win, trust me, the alumni want to win just as much as the fans want to win. So let's see what happens. I wanted to share that with you all. I hope that was helpful. If you're just turning in from the Coaching from the Couch series, you are watching the Washington Commanders Update. I'm your host, C. Wall. Make sure if you're watching from Facebook, make sure you hit that love button. Share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Tag them on into the live discussion. If you're watching from YouTube, hello to you as well. Drop a fire emoji so that I know that you are checked in and watching. We're sharing some things that went well, per my opinion, and you all are dropping in the chat as well some things that you thought went well. I started off with what legend Darrell Green, Hall of Famer, was sharing with the media before the game. Now let's get into the game. Sam Howell had a good game. All right, can we get a love button, a fire emoji? Because, hey, listen, Sam Howell had a good game. I mean, he threw a pick, and that hurt. But overall, Sam Howell had a good game. Now, along with Sam Howell having a good game, I think it's very important to note the offensive line had a good game as well. Now, I'm just going to state some observations. We know that Saahdiq Charles is out due to an injury. Okay. Chris Paul comes in. We know that they made a change at center, had Tyler Larsen come in. Tyler Larsen was very effective before he got injured last season. Those two changes boded well for the Commanders offense. Don't you think? Love button, fire emoji. We got to give credit where it's due, everybody. Here's another thing that I thought went well. Finally saw Jahan Dotson get in the mix. You all know we've been talking about Jahan Dotson. We've seen Jahan have some tough games. Jahan was doing well. Jahan was doing pretty daggone good. Happy to see that. Very happy to see that. Happy to see Jahan in the mix. I'm also going to tell you what I was happy to see. I was happy to see Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Logan Thomas all with touchdowns. All with touchdowns. Now, we're going to get to the not so well with Terry in a moment, okay? Don't think I didn't see it. Don't think I'm not going to address it because I absolutely am, okay? But you would think that's a good game. You would think there's some promising things happening there when you see your two wide receiver 1 and 2 with touchdowns, Logan Thomas. That's a good day. Also, something that went well. Curtis Samuel went down with a toe injury. Best wishes to him. Hope he gets well soon. Jamison Crowder. You all have heard me talk about Jamison Crowder a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about Jamison Crowder. You want to know why? Because when his name is called, he shows up. When Curtis Samuel had to go out, Jamison Crowder showed up yet again. So, very good. I've been giving Jamison Crowder his flowers the whole time when it comes to special teams. but he also pitched right in as a wide receiver, being the veteran that he is, and made some plays. Always give credit where it's due. I fully expect a love button or a fire emoji for this one. And that is Joey Slye with a 61 yarder, the longest in franchise history. Now, let me be abundantly clear with you all. When Chris Paul had a great game, like I said, he had a great game, was in at left guard for Sadiq Charles. He had a great game. But let me tell you, when he got that 5-yard penalty, I said, oh gosh, here we go. Well, guess what? Joey Slye made a 61 yarder. That was some good stuff. That was some good stuff. On the defensive side, the defense definitely, they stopped the push, tush push, whatever it is that the Eagles like to do. They stopped that on the 1-yard line. Incredible. Cameron Curl forced the fumble. Phidarian Mathis with the recovery. Shout out to Phidarian Mathis, right? He's been just ridden with injuries since he came into the league and was able to make that play and maximize that opportunity. Phenomenal. Montez definitely let his presence be known a time or two. That is Montez Sweat. He for sure let his presence be known for certain. So with that, I'm about to jump into Sam Howell's after game press conference. This is before we get into the not so well. Okay, we're gonna get into the what not so well. But before we get into that, let's do a bit. Let's chat a bit and watch a little bit of Sam Howell's after game press conference.
Yeah, I mean, I thought those guys up front did a really good job today, and I thought we did a good job. EB did a good job of mixing things up, and getting some quick game called, and had a lot of screens called today as well. And I thought we did a lot of things to keep them off balance. And did a lot of good things, but we had an opportunity there in the fourth quarter to have a chance to go tie the game, and I got to be better. I wasn't at my best when my best was needed, and it hurt the team today.
How disappointing 2 games with this team to come up short here?
Yeah, very disappointing. Obviously both games against these guys, we felt like they were games that we could have won, and I think we're just right there. But at the end of the day, we let another one slip away from us, and we just got to come back and regroup, and stay positive, and just take it one game at a time, and move on to next week.
Sam, how important is it for the rest of the offense as well? You get some success early on some of the quick hitters into the screens, and you've taken a couple of shots. How important is it for the rest of the guys, not just you, to see the chains move and get the ball in the end zone?
Yeah, I mean, I think all we were doing was creating momentum, and I think when you have a bunch of different players getting involved in the game and you're moving the ball in different ways, I think it just creates more holes, more openings for the offense, and it just helps more guys get open, and get more involved. And I thought we did a good job today. I thought EB called a great game and did a good job, put us in position to have a chance to win. We just got to find a way in the fourth quarter to finish the game and finish with a victory.
Did you get any explanation on the Jahan catch that was kind of turned into an incompletion?
No, honestly, I didn't even know kind of what was going on. I thought when we got the first down, I didn't even know that it was any question that he caught it. Then the ref came up to me and said that they reviewed it and said it was incomplete. So it is what it is. But yeah, tough break for us. But still had chances and still got to find a way to get it done.
Just before that, I think Terry dropped the two-touchable ball. Is that something? Do you talk to him about that? I mean, I know he's a veteran here, but do you guys have any discussion about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just told him I got to give him a better chance. The first one, I was trying to stop him, but his job is to stay on the move. I was kind of more worried about the corner falling off of the outside route we had. So Terry did a good job, got open on both those routes. And I mean, people might say they were catchable, but at the end of the day, I got to make his job easier. And Terry's a great player, and I got to do my part.
And just generally over the last few weeks, you guys have dealt with the losses, the stakes of trade deadline coming up and everything.
So in this presser, one of the things that Sam Howell went on to say, and we, in the interest of time, we won't play the whole thing, but one of the things that he went on to say was that, hey, we know, like he says this every week, coach says it every week, they know the potential and the caliber of players that they have in the locker room. And who's to say we don't go and win 9 straight? Who's to say we don't go ahead and just make a run for it and figure this thing out? There's a desire to do that, very much so. But I think the challenge here, and is if you are just tuning in, you are watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update, and I am your host, Seawall. This is a live Bowie television recorded, so everything we say and do here, it just may pop up on the television screen each and every single day, 1:30 to 2:30. 1:30 to 2:30, Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77, and on the weekends it comes on during the noon hour. So hit that love button, drop a fire emoji so I know that you're here. Right now we're talking about Sam Howell's, Washington Commanders quarterback Sam Howell's after game press conference, and what he was sharing in terms of there still being a lot of positivity around the potential of what is still in the locker room and the caliber of players in the locker room, which is going to lead me to then what didn't go so well. We know that there was a 4th and 1 call on offense by Coach Bieniemy that you had to go back and look at it several times to say, okay, was it a good call? Why didn't you just run it? It was 1 yard. What, you can't get 1 yard. What are we doing? Too often, I feel like the Commanders are playing extremely conservative. Whatever you got to get whatever is the simplest, easiest way to get the ball, move the chain, do that. Just do that and get it down there. Just get it down there. Get down the field. That's all. 1 yard. 1 yard. 1 yard. That's all you need right now is 1 yard. And the play didn't move forward. We know that there was not that challenge on the 4th and 5 4 from the Eagles catch. We're going to talk about that in a moment. I'm going to hold my thought on that one because we're going to get into some of the things that Coach Rivera talked about. We're not going to get into his after game presser. We're going to get into his day after the game press conference because that is important. We're going to also talk about some of the busted coverages. We're also going to talk about Emmanuel Forbes being on A.J. Brown again. I'm going to skip this next one because we got to talk about it because I want to share a video. Love button, like button. Are you all familiar with the green dot? Chime in if you are familiar with the green dot. So the green dot on defense is your defensive player that you trust, is high IQ, that is somewhat of your leader on defense that basically calls the defense. They get in the defensive plays. They inform the rest of the defense of what is happening. Last year, Cole Holcomb wore the green dot. Once Cole Holcomb got hurt, Cameron Curl wore the green dot. Yesterday, David Mayo was wearing the green dot. I'm not real certain why David Mayo was chosen to wear the green dot. I'm not real sure and certain why Cameron Curl is no longer wearing it. Give him the green dot. I just thought it was interesting because in terms of, at least from my eye test and what I could see, in terms of effective and capability and skill set, David Mayo was not it in terms of who I would trust to tell anybody, nice person. But what are we really doing here? Because you would want to think one of your leaders, vocal, is the person that wears the green dot. David Mayo had the green dot, and I was pretty disappointed with understanding that David Mayo was wearing the green dot. What did not go so well? We're going to show a video clip. Terry McLaurin with 2 back-to-back drops. That like never happens. I was shocked. But drop in the chat. I think some conversations are going to have to be had. Here's why. Everybody loves Terry. Let's be for real. But when you watch other teams play, and it's probably not fair to say and compare anybody to AJ Brown. It's probably not fair at all. Your wide receiver 1 can't drop the ball 2 times. You just can't do it. You just shouldn't do it. Whatever happened, this goes back to what I was sharing with you all last week, which was simply this. Are there conversations that are being had that says that can't happen? And I see this here, right? I'm going to call it all out. I better not see anyone. Nope, nobody's bashing Terry. But Terry need to catch them footballs. Straight up. 1 time, 2 times, no. Because we've even seen bad passes get caught by top receivers. 1 time, I could say okay. 2 times, nope, not okay. Not okay. And those are the types of conversations that need to be had when you are a leader of a team. When you are wide receiver 1. Because see, I want there to be an accountability measure for coaches. But what then gives the energy around, but your players aren't good enough, is when things like that happen in the trenches. Straight up. And even if you feel bad about it, conversations need to be had to understand what happened there. What happened there? What happened there? Because that's uncharacteristic of you. Now, just saying that's uncharacteristic, just saying what happened there does not mean a conversation doesn't need to be had. What's going on? I'm not going to give anybody any passes. Y'all heard me say the same thing about Jahan Dotson. Somebody's got to get to the bottom of it. What's going on here? Get to the bottom of it. I'm seeing you drop passes that you catch. What is happening here? Come back the next game. Everybody act like they got some sense. Okay, good. Because I'm talking about open passes. We're not talking about you getting covered. We're talking about matchups that you normally win. We're talking about you being wide open. That's when the rubber starts to meet the road, right? Because you can't holler about coaching and in the same breath you have players that are not executing. That's where it starts to say, where is the balance? And I'm going to still share this video with y'all because, of course, Terry feels bad. Everybody feels bad. They're losing. So, yeah, there's enough bad feelings to go around. But when you are a leader and you are wide receiver 1 and you are seeing the opposing team catching all types of passes with one hand, making sure they got both feet in and all of that while they're being covered, it's going to be hard to make a case for advocating anything other than do whatever you need to do to fix the team. I'm always going to go to the leadership first because that's just what I think. But when the execution part isn't there, players have to be held accountable. We cannot let go of that player accountability piece. You can't. And you can absolutely not let anyone get away with it. Everybody can catch it. Everybody can get it. Everybody has to be able to wear and get that constructive criticism, no matter how much you like them. If you like them, you'll let them know, hey, what's going on? Because that's uncharacteristic of you. You don't drop 1 and 2 passes in a row in a critical moment. But here's Terry in the locker room after the game.
Hey, Terry, could you just sum up this game for us?
Yeah, we just didn't make the plays necessary to win the game. Myself starts with that for me. Those are plays that I make. Tough plays or not, you got to make those plays. So I definitely take full accountability for that. And, if we get those, one of those plays, the first down, we're still rolling, have the chance to still score points. So, I'm not going to really speak on a lot of other people. I just speak for myself, and I got to be better, and I'm going to be better. So, but as a whole, we just collectively got to make our plays when it comes to crunch time. And if you want to beat good teams like that, that's what you have to do.
Could you take us through those 2 plays a little bit?
Yeah, we had a third down, a little out route, like a deep corner, I would say. And I was just taking it high, and the ball was where it was, and I still feel like I could have had it. You know what I mean? So you just look at it. I feel like maybe I could have slowed down a little bit more in the zone. Maybe that's why Sam was trying to stop me with the ball a little bit. But at the end of the day, I got to make that in the second one. Kind of similar. I have an in route, but it's kind of like a soft part of the zone. And, if I could maybe give him a little bit better clean body language, then he can drive the ball a little bit better. Even still, both of them within my reach. So I just got to be better. I'm going to be better for that.
Hey, Terry, one more. This offense overall, when you look at just the way this team performed today, and you look at some of the other games, not so much, could you just talk about just how this team can play and put the points on the board, from this game forward?
Yeah, I think it's just still putting 4 quarters together, and I think that starts with, like I said, guys making their plays for 4 quarters. I think it was a good game plan. We were moving the ball. We were not too bad in the red zone, but it's still going to come down to critical plays in the NFL. That's what it comes down to, and the teams that figure out how to make those plays win those games.
The offense feel a lot different.
Shout out to my colleague, one of my mentors, Auntie Donna Hopkins, for passing that video along to me. That was her asking the questions there. So give Donna a shout out, a high five, a tag to let her know that we watched her video and her questions, because she sent that along my way. And I get it. But let me tell you something. This is me being very objective. It's going to be real hard for me to drag any coaching when the player's not making the plays. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do that, because here's the reality. We hear coaches take accountability. Coach Rivera said every week, that's on me. That's my fault. And don't nobody want to hear it. People want to get him fired every week. Right? We hear that. Right? So it's which one you're going to do. There has to be the balance. If you want the coaches to get the smoke, the players got to get the smoke too. That's just the reality. Whomever is in the leadership position, you can't just say, well, as far as I'm concerned, this team loses enough for everybody to be like, okay, well, they had a moment. Well, how many more moments do you need? Because you on the lose, you have more losses than you do wins. So when is your moment going to be consistently positive, resulting in the win column? Right? And so now it gets hard. It gets difficult to say, okay, this one got to go, that one got to go. This we on the trade deadline. Well, because you see the case for it all. You see the case for coaches changes. You absolutely see it. It's abundantly clear. But then you can absolutely see the case for it was a critical moment. My leader's not leading. What you going to do? You know what I mean? What you going to do? And so hey, we better not. It's just like we said about Jahan Dotson. I don't know what's going on with Jahan, but they better figure it out, because this isn't a good look. It's a bad look. Jahan was better this week. But Everybody has to have, if you're being objective in this business, you have to be able to say your leaders got to show up in the trenches. I mean, Terry said it. You got to beat, how you going to beat a team like that if you're not making the plays? You won't. And the Commanders don't. So we've seen them lose enough at this point where everybody's got to start showing up. Everybody. You know, I mentioned to you all what Sam Howell said. We can win 9 straight games. Can you? I can tell you this. You can win them. How you lost them these 5, you can't do that. So if you believe that, and here's the thing. I believe you if you believe you. I believe you if you believe you. But that means you have to play mistake-free football. How many times have we heard, and let me be clear, because y'all hear me, hey, coaches, get it together. But I'm objective. I'm not going to give these players a pass. I'm not. You can't. You cannot. You know what I mean? You want to win 9 straight. What is everybody going to do differently in order to do that? And that is from a coaching perspective. Now everybody got to do something different, because y'all heard me talk about putting players in positions to succeed and doing the proper development, which you'll never hear me waver from that. Absolutely. You better do that, right? Please. But now, players, that means you have to execute. You want to win 9 straight? Execute. Execute. Do the things that we see you do in practice. Do the things that you've been doing since you were a child. Do those things. Do those things. And basically what you are stating is you will. Because this could, I don't know. I mean, let's get into Coach Rivera's comments from today. Let's get into some of his comments from today. Let's just jump right on into, let's see. Let's start here. And he starts with the defensive line. We know this is in no particular order. And if you're just tuning in, you're now watching the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. I'm your host, C. Wall, and this is a live Bowie television recording. We're getting into now Coach Rivera's after game day, so the Monday press conference, and I'm sharing here the transcript. And because there's so much talk about trades being made, defensive line, potentially Montez Sweat or Chase Young or Jonathan Allen, those are some of the names that continue to circulate. I'm going to start with this one first. And this was a question around how he feels the defensive line has played this season. He says, I think D-line has had its moments. He talked about yesterday holding one of the top rushing teams in the league to only 59 yards. We got good pressure on the quarterback. We could have used a little bit more. Obviously, especially in certain situations, they've definitely played solid at times, and they've had their moments. We've just got to be consistent more so than anything else. Now his next comment on if the defensive line has played to the level that he has anticipated, he said it's not consistently enough. And again, you see it, but you've got to see it all the time. And that's really the mark of when it really comes together, is that it's consistent. Now, here's the thing. You all know I have been very, very, very critical of whose name isn't being called and of Coach Jack Del Rio, and I continue to be. And yeah, we saw some mistakes there in the trenches with the offense, but the Eagles still ended up scoring, 38? And here's the thing, y'all. I don't know if you saw it, but Jalen Hurts is hurt. He's visibly dealing with something. I think a bone bruise. He's got something going on. And he was still able to lead his offense to score 38. Now, let me say something else. Let me go back to all of the potential and all of the everything that this team had just a few weeks ago, just this summer. We all had it. I had it. A lot of my media colleagues had it. Was very confident. We still watch some of these games and we can't believe what we're watching. And it's like, what was that? And so I'm gonna go to the trade. I'm sure it'll pop up because meaning the transcript here, because Coach Rivera, of course, was asked about the trade. He said he's not going to get into the trade talk, but he also said that maybe, on when we got to get through tomorrow. And then he says, and we'll have something to talk to you all about and have some answers to your question on Wednesday. So that led me to believe there is something in the works. Whether or not that something in the works comes to fruition, is unknown. We shall see, right? But I think the key here is a couple different things. Jonathan Allen was mad, but he never said he wanted out of Washington. So let me just clear that up real fast, because I know that was a whole lot of stuff, and I know that was said nationally. That's not what he said. He's frustrated. Yes, he's been here 7 years, but he never said he wanted out. He said he's frustrated. He didn't say he wanted out. Let's be really clear about that. And as local media, I just feel like, we still have an obligation, because we are there with these individuals, to be like, that's not what he said. So that's not what he said. And but hey, that's what is being said that he said, but that's not what he said. So, and I'm gonna keep saying that again, because I just have an obligation to report what's facts. Not with speculation based on what somebody thinks they meant. Go by based on what was actually said. And so frustration is warranted. Everybody's frustrated. Others, you look at Chase and how he's played so far this season, and statistically, he's doing well. I think Chase's dad called in to Grant Paulson. He called in, and he's been talking about his son and these parents. I told y'all, they listening. They're the team, the players, the more than you think. The players and their family, they're paying attention to what is being said and what is being reported more than you realize. So while I try to watch what I say, but I gotta be objective, and I gotta report the news. And I'm just still sitting here like, Chase is having, statistically, he's having a good year. He's having a solid year, but we know there's injury concerns. Montez has been consistent over the years. That is a player who is getting a lot of traction and a lot of attention. It's a couple different things I want to mention. Trading somebody, I don't know if that further hurts or helps the morale on your team right now. I don't know if they care. I don't know if it matters. There's obviously a market for linemen, right? We just saw the Giants trade their Pro Bowl lineman. We just saw the Eagles trade one of their defensive linemen, to the Falcons. And the Giants said, their Pro Bowl defensive tackle to the Seattle Seahawks. So, there's that. What does it do? What does it really do? What is the message you really sending? If you really believe that you can win with the team you have right now, and that is what you're telling people, and then you trade somebody, what are you really saying? What are you really telling people you believe? Do you really believe in this team, or have you given up and said, you know what, we just gonna focus on next year? And on top of that, do you even trust this leadership to be the ones to make the negotiation, to make the appropriate trades? Right now, if you already know that you chances are, if I'm the owner and I already know, I want you to ride this out, Coach Rivera and staff, because this is the team that you said you wanted. You've made largely most of these decisions, and this is what you created. This is what you were riding out with. This was the defense that you said you wanted. All you needed was some ball hawks. So you got you one in the first round and the second round. Okay, cool. We knew that you were rebuilding some things on the offensive side of the ball. You had to get a whole basically restructuring your offensive line. You went out and got the offensive coordinator that you wanted. You drafted this quarterback in the fifth round. The other week, you told everybody that you were just a quarterback away. And you're actually still saying that in press conferences. You feel very optimistic about this team because of what you have in Sam Howell. So you're still making it about the quarterback. That means you're not talking about any other issues. So if you're going to ride off into the sunset, are you going to ride off with the team you got right now that you built, that you said that you believed in, or are you going to trade somebody for a future that more than likely you don't have here? If you're going to trade somebody, are you doing it to get better today? Are you going to do it so that you can get better on Sunday? Because if you're doing it for the future, then you are completely going against what you have told your team. And that is, you believe in this team, and that if they do your job and you all do your job as coaches, we good. And we can still win 9 games. We can still win 9. I'm going to put this up here because this is serious. I think this franchise and fan base has been under so much turmoil. I don't think people believe me when I say these guys are family members. And they believe each other. They believe in each other, and they believe their coaches, and they trust their coaches. So if you go and you trade somebody, I'm going to tell you something else Ron Rivera said. And I like Coach Ron Rivera a whole lot. All right, a lot. I do. He's a very nice man. He's always super kind to me and super, super supportive. But I have to report the news. He said one of the things that he regretted in Carolina was separating out and breaking up that defensive line. That's what he said. So if you do that mid-season, not when in that case, they're not your problem. Your defensive coordinator is more of your issue than your defensive line is. And are you seriously going to make a plan for a future that there's a strong possibility that you are not going to be a part of if this season does not go well? If I'm the new owners, I'm watching how you move with your current team. That's what I'm waiting for. And I'm waiting for you to give your ball hawking corners that you wanted so bad in the first and the second round. I want to see them developed in the manner in which they need to be in order to effectively cover wide receivers 1 and 2 in the National Football League. Not what they did in college. What they need to do in the professional level. Because we saw them put Emmanuel Forbes to come out back on A.J. Brown. Hey, listen. It's a disaster. And every time they lined up, everybody said the same thing. Oh, gosh, he's going to throw it to A.J. Brown. Who in America didn't know that Jalen Hurts was going to go to A.J. Brown every time Forbes was on him? Who didn't know that? It was quite sad to see. I was kind of up. Made me sad. I was like, well, is anybody going to help him? Call Darryl Green. Darryl Green said he'll help him and give him 10 minutes. Just give him a chance. Give him a chance to work with him. He'll do it. He will do it. You're just basing it on raw talent and you're not scheming out the best possible situation for the kid. Hey, listen, I'm not saying nobody's going to catch a touchdown on you. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to understand and plan for the physicality that some of these wide receivers in this league bring. You wanted ball hawks. You got your ball hawks. Now you help them. Your issue is not your defensive line. But if you want to trade them, okay. I'm not saying don't. But are you going to trade him for ask yourself the question, are you going to trade him for a future that you more than likely will not be a part of? Or are you going to roll and ride out with the team because you told them you were going to? That's what you said you were going to do. That's all I'm saying. That's what you said you were going to do. Now, I always know, and you all told me that the late, great, may he rest in peace, from NBC Sports Washington, Rich Taylor told me one of the first things he told me when I walked into the Washington media room was, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. I'm watching. Because when Ron Rivera said that today, I said, well, woo, Ron. Really? Okay, man. All right. Okay. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. Because he definitely said today, we got to get through Tuesday first, and then after that, we'll have some answers for you on Wednesday. Okay. Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. All right. But what does that do for your team? Does that make your team say, oh, we better get our acts together? Yeah, when you take something away from a position group that ain't your issue. Okay, make that make sense. But all right, whatever you think is best. Because let me tell you, I want to go back to something else, and this is related to the coaching player relationship. And everybody's probably heard of this now, right? The no challenge to the Eagles catch. And that's what I told y'all I was going to get back to. It's one of the things I told you I was going to get back to, the no catch. Or the no, it was a catch. I'm not talking about Jahan's no catch, because that's a whole nother anything. The no challenge on the Eagles. What is it? 4th and 4, 4th and 5, 4th and 5. The no challenge. I don't know what the TV version showed, but the players knew that it wasn't a catch. I'm talking about the Commanders players. They were so and let me go to this. In the immediately after the game press conference, Ron Rivera looked over there. I was actually sitting on the left side, so he looked over at the right side of the media. So technically, he wasn't asking me because I was sitting on the left side. I was sitting on this side. Okay, because I always got to give you all a visual of what is happening in real life. And he said he still didn't know if he caught it. Then he looks and he says, "Did he catch it?" And we all in the room said, yes, he caught, or no, he didn't. Well, we knew Jahan caught it. This was a lot going on in this game. Catch, no catch. He said, well, did he catch it? No, he didn't catch it. So, they said he didn't catch it? Oh, all right. Ron. Your players are telling you that it wasn't a catch. They're saying it out loud. Ron is looking up at the big screen. And he waiting for the people upstairs to call downstairs to tell him, your players are down there on the sideline with you, and your players are telling you that it is not a catch, throw the flag. What happens? The Eagles already knew it wasn't a catch. And we knew it wasn't a catch just based on the fact that the Eagles were so quick. Soon as they were getting ready to line up, I said, it's not a catch. It's not a catch. We all said it's not a catch. It's not a catch because they moving too fast to get the next play off. Ron was still waiting for the replay to come up on the big screen. Now, let me also say this. The officiating, now, I don't think I'm going to get fined. Let us all pray. Okay. And if you are just tuning in, because I know it's a few of y'all that's on, you are watching From the Culture from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I'm your host, C. Wall. Hit that love button. We still got time. We're still talking about it. Tag in your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Drop a fire emoji. You can still share the show as well. We're talking this live conversation. This is a live Bowie television recording, so we still getting into all the conversation. I hope I don't get fined. Okay. I don't think the media doesn't need to get fined, right? Let me check the book. All I'm saying is there's reason. I at this point I start wondering what's happening. I really do. I'm like, what is going on? The calls were egregious at times. And I know that Coach Rivera is very calm, cool, and collected. But let me tell you something. One thing that I agreed with Jack Del Rio on is he was losing his marbles on that sideline. And I said, I'm with you, Coach Del Rio, which is something that you don't hear me say very often. I was with him. With him. And I said, somebody's getting paid. Something is happening here because it's just that egregious. Now, I got to be objective. Don't give the referees an opportunity to call your game. Don't give them a chance. If you beat people straight out, you ain't got to worry about them. But let me say this. At sometimes in defining moments, a call, right, wrong, or indifferent, but a call could really change the trajectory of your game. It could mess you up. It really can. And that was just really sad what I saw each time. The officiate, and you all know something about Seawall, and what's that? I'm not big on talking about the refs. I'm not big on that. But like, well, if you should have just beat them, because we don't have time to talk about no referees. But I'm gonna say, I sat right there one time and I said they cheating a little bit. I think something isn't right here. I know I'm a little tired from the weekend, but I can add and subtract, and this isn't adding up. I know 1 + 1 = 2 every time, but this right here is bad. It's bad. And then when you do something, when you have an opportunity, now all of a sudden Jahan's isn't a catch, but this other one is a catch. Somebody is playing with the system. Somebody was playing with the system, and it was detrimental. And not only that, I felt really bad, because I'm going to go back to my player notion. What's the message you're sending to your players? What is the message? Don't lose the locker room. You're already on the verge, because you're telling everybody to do their job, and sometimes they don't. But more often than not, things aren't going well on the leadership end, right? Just call it what it is. And this has been a disappointing year so far. It's been extremely disappointing. And in that moment, yes, Jack Del Rio was going off. But Ron, I need Coach Rivera he need to break a headset or something. Something needs to just put me out. Just put me out. I'm walking up to the podium at the end of the game, and I'm going to open up with just dock the fine from my check. Just dock it. Go ahead and take it out. You want to know why? Because I'm about to go on a rant, and I want you to go ahead and take it out of my check. And here's why. And that emotional rant last year he had about Carson Wentz, yesterday was time. Because you up on a trade deadline, and here's the reality. You don't want to trade anybody. You don't. Deep down, they don't want to trade anybody. They don't want to. But that doesn't mean they're not going to. The Giants done made a move with a D lineman. The Eagles done made a deal with a D lineman. People just making moves all over the place. And what, you going to feel like you're going to be left out the party? I don't know. But I get the sense they really don't want to do it. But they feel like just to say they did something, okay, fine, we'll do something. We'll just do it. You got to ride the rest of this season out for your players. And you're on the verge of lose. I don't think they are. Nobody's told me that they are. But at the same token, you can look and see the frustration is waning. It's weighing on people. Nobody likes to lose. And they're working really hard. It's not like they're not working hard. So to see it not come to fruition, hey man, something ain't adding up. And if you're not, and I see this comment here, if you're not gonna make a move with your coaching staff, but you make a move with a player, you are conveying that you are always right. You always right. And the players are the ones with the problem. I don't think that's the right message to send when you're losing in the division. It's and you know your QB1 still got hope. Because do I think they're going to win 9 games straight? No. But who am I to tell Sam Howell it's not going to happen? I'm not going to tell him that. I'm not. Somebody else be my guest. But if he believes it, then I believe in you. Let's ride out. Roll out. Roll out. These are your people. Roll out with them. Go with them. So when they're hollering and screaming on the sideline and saying, it's not a catch, it's not a catch, throw the flag, listen to your team. Just listen to them. Say you had their back for us. Show you got their back for a time or two. Okay? When you get up in that press conference, yeah, show you got their back a time or two. Go ahead and take the fine. Because I can't believe what is going on here. So I don't know what's going to happen before. I'm going to be honest with you all. Did I know last week there was so much that went on? I was so like just out of it really with that Giants loss. And last week, remember, we didn't even get into the trade talks. I had posted, hey, we're going to get into the trade talks, but we didn't even get into it. And the reality was, the trade talks were happening and they started the week prior, actually. But Martin Mayhew already told everybody anyway, hey, listen, we always take calls and we always make calls. You never know what's going to happen, right? You never know. So we all just call. And who knows what's going to happen. But it was something in Coach Rivera's, if you haven't watched the press conference, go and take a look at it. It was something in his demeanor. It was something in his voice. He's uncomfortable. I was sensing uncomfortability because I think he's on the verge of making a decision that he really isn't sure he should make. And the reality is, if it isn't a resounding yes, say no. Say no. No. Riding out with my players. And if this doesn't work out this season, I already know what my fate is. But I rolled with them. This is the team I created. This was the team I was in charge of. This was the team I had the autonomy in choosing. This is going to be very interesting. And I'm not convinced I'm not convinced that they're not going to make a move. It's for sure under consideration. And what's crazy is I'll be very, in the spirit of transparency, I will actually not be able to be in Ashburn on Wednesday. I'll go later in the week, but I have some prior speaking engagements I need to do. And so I'm not going to be able to be there on Wednesday. And that's going to be a tough deal if something does happen. And yeah, everybody's being professional. It's a business, all of those things. But what message are you sending? It's going to be my final message before whatever happens before the trade deadline ends up happening. Because you're going to send a message. You either sending the message that the season is over. No, we not winning 9 straight games. It ain't going to happen. Forget it. If it's something that results in you planning for the future, if it isn't something that's going to help to get better next Sunday, then you're telling everybody you have given up on the season and you have made a change. Especially if it's to a group that isn't necessarily your issue. I mean, it's answered today about the defensive line where they're not as consistent, they're not this, they're not that. So we'll see what happens. But based on what happens, again, my resounding leadership message is, what message do you want to send? Do you want to send the message of I'm putting my money on the team that I got right now? And I know that if this doesn't work out, I know what my future holds with this organization, but I'm going to ride out and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to make the adjustments that I need to within me and my coaching staff to get these guys on the winning side of this scoreboard. And we're going to ride this thing out. If they think they can win 9 straight games, who am I to tell them that they can't? Let's go out here and get it. If you trade somebody for future picks, you are saying the opposite of that. You just got to know what side of the locker room you want to be on at that point. So, there is that. Commanders fans, keep your Twitter notifications going because this is going to be interesting for certain. And with the Eagles and the Giants both making changes with their defensive lines, it will be interesting to see what happens with the Commanders before 4 p.m. Tuesday with the trade deadline. Thank you all so much for sticking it out for the live discussion. You can still hit the love button. You can still share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. You all, this is from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, Seawall. This is from Bowie Television. You can catch it each and every single day. Again, on Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77, every day 1:30 to 2:30, and on the weekends during the noon hour. You all be blessed. I will be doing a live Bowie Television recording on Thursday as well to do all of the DMV sports or the highlights from what's happening in DMV sports. So whatever happens, I guess we'll be talking about it on Thursday. I'll talk to you guys again soon.